Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Read With Me. My name is Mehdi, a British Council IELTS expert and the co-founder of IELTS Juice Online Academy. In this video, I'm going to analyze reading questions from one of the authentic IELTS practice tests, Cambridge IELTS 18, Test 1, Passage 3. If you have the book, I highly recommend getting it and reading along with me. I'm going to answer the questions just like you would and explain in detail the best approach for each question type in IELTS reading. All right, the first step is always skimming the passage. Remember, it's not a good idea to look at the questions. That would be a waste of time and pretty much unnecessary. The first thing we do is we look at the title, which says Conquering Earth's Space Junk Problem. And then if available, we read the subheading, which says satellites, rockets, shards, and collision debris are creating major traffic risks in orbit around the planet. Researchers are working to reduce these threats. So, in the process of skimming, we need to underline the keywords that make a difference. For example, in this case, well, it seems to be about junk problem in the space. And so researchers are working to reduce these threats. Now, this has to be done pretty fast, but make sure you understand what you're reading. So it's not about finding words, it's about understanding the main ideas of the text. And this should take you about 1 to 3 minutes. Typically, if the passage is not that difficult, you can finish it in 1 minute. Otherwise, maximum 3 minutes would be a fair amount of time to spend on the skimming stage of the reading task. So I repeat, I haven't even seen the questions. It's not necessary to look at the questions at this point. First, we need to get a global understanding of the text before answering any of the questions. So the first paragraph, which is the introduction paragraph, typically has its main idea at the end. Could be here. But it has two paragraphs, and there are 2 paragraphs in this section. So I would read this sentence as well. It's a pretty long one, isn't it? Oh, no, it's actually here. Okay, so let's see. And in some cases, when the introduction is really short, like a couple of lines, like in this case, it's not a bad idea to read it completely really fast. Last year, commercial companies, military and civil departments, and amateurs sent more than 400 satellites into orbit over 4 times. Okay. Not important. Numbers could rise even more sharply if leading space companies follow through on plans to deploy hundreds to thousands of large constellations of satellites to space in the next few years. So it's about so the problem, the junk problem, seems to be the thousands of large satellites into space. Then there is this second paragraph. All that traffic can lead to disasters. So there are potential disasters, and that's enough really from this paragraph. Concern about space junk goes back to the beginning of the satellite era. Okay, this is the history of the concern. But the number of objects in orbit is rising so rapidly that researchers are investigating new ways of attacking the problem. So new ways of attacking the problem. Okay, that the alternative the alternative many say is unthinkable. The alternative is unthinkable. It's bad. Even as our ability to monitor space objects increases, so too does the total number of items in orbit. So there's a link between our ability to monitor space debris, objects, and also number of items in orbit. The next paragraph is D, in which we have a theory. Like in theory, given the vastness of space, satellite operators should have plenty of room for all these missions to fly safely without ever nearing another object. So this is about the theory, the vastness of space, and the fact that they should fly safely without ever getting near to other objects. Okay, that's theory. Okay, the field is called space traffic management. There's a field of study, apparently, which is called traffic management. And an additional problem is that there is no authoritative catalog that accurately lists the orbits of all known space debris. So there's another problem. No catalog to list all known space debris. So what I'm doing here is making sure that the keywords of the paragraph, I mean the topic, in each topic sentence, as you can see, in each first sentence of the paragraphs, the keywords are underlined, so that when I come back later to these paragraphs to answer the questions, I know what the paragraph is roughly about. Now, this guy, whoever this person is, or something, describes himself as a space environmentalist. So this person is an environmentalist, space environmentalist, and he has an idea. I don't want to read the idea yet. Maybe I will later because it's not necessary right now. The whole process should take about 1 to 3 minutes, and we know pretty much everything about the main ideas. But what about the details? Of course, we haven't read the details. I have no idea what this 2,000 kilometers refers to. I don't know anything about any other detailed aspects of the text. So now it's time to go on to the questions. Let's take a look at the question types we are given. We have, okay, this task is which section contains the following information. This is a task called finding information in paragraphs. Okay. All right, there we go. So, yeah, which section contains the following information? This task is not a good starting point. You should never start with this task. It requires a lot of reading and it's really energy intensive and time consuming. Next is complete the summary below. Not a good one either. Summary completion tasks are also demanding. And but we have this other type, which is people with statements, matching people with their statements. Now, and they're all question types that are neither in passage order nor come from one specific area of the text. So it doesn't really matter which one to start with, but definitely this would be my last priority. I would probably start with these because at least it would be easy to scan for these names and find them in the text. Now, there's something interesting about this question type. When we have matching people with statements, the people's names that are placed, and if they are placed in the box with A, B, C, D's next to them, these will definitely come in passage order. So you can be sure that the name Carol Frew will be found in the first few paragraphs, probably before Holger, and Holger before Marlin, and Marlin before Moriba, right? In fact, right now I remember that I already know where this name is because I accidentally saw it, and now I can see that it's one of the names that we need. So the first step is to find all these names in the text. We're going to start from the first or the last. Let's start from the last because I know where Ja or Ya is. Where is Mariba? That's the last name, so it's important to find the first instance of this name where we have the first name and the last name. Again, we have the last name here, which is not good. We need to find the first name and the last name. Okay, I got it. That's Mariba Ja. Now, Marlin Sorg, or Sorge, probably. That's going to be before Mariba. Yes, it is here. So we have one instance of this name. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a triangle for this name instead of a circle so that later I know which is which. So is this the only instance or do we have more of this name? Well, the name Marlin is with the first name and the last name together. So it seems like it's the only place where we have this name. Because usually the first time we have the first name and the last name, and every next time that you see this name in the text, it's usually the last name only. So Marlin Sorge seems like the first and the last instance of this name in this text. I'm just guessing, but this is very likely. Otherwise, it would say like says Sorge rather than says Marlin Sorge. Next is Holger Craig. Who is this guy? Okay, here we go. So now for this person, I'm going to use a cloud shape. Craig worries, again, this name. Now what I'm doing is scan for these names. Scanning means I don't read anything. I just look for those capital letters of K and H. Is that all? Well, we have this name for the first time here. Again, because I can see the first name H, Holger, and then Craig. So it's very unlikely to see this again up there. Then the last person is Caroline. Where's Caroline? F. Caroline. F. Caroline. Okay, there we go. Now for this person, I can use a different shape or just a check mark. So we have this check mark for the name Caroline through, and that is the first and last time we can see this name. Yes, that is right. Okay. So we found all these names with different shapes in different places, and as you can see, like I said, the names appeared in passage order. That really helps. That really helps find these names faster. Next, we go through the statements about these people, knowing the exact location, prevent danger. Space should be available to everyone. Preserved for the future. A recommendation regarding satellites is widely ignored. Recommendation ignored. There is conflicting information about satellites are in space. There's risk we will not be able to undo the damage that occurs in space. We will not be able to undo the damage. Okay. Now, some people think that they should look for 36 or look for 40, but that would be really, really time consuming and not the best approach. The best approach is to decide which person you want to start with, read about the person, and then choose a relevant statement. So we have four names. Which name should we start with? Well, the name that has said the least is our best candidate. So I don't think I would start with Moriba because Moriba has talked too much. I don't want to read 3 paragraphs. I want to read the name that has said the least, and that person would probably be this guy, Caroline. Yeah, we can only see one instance of this name. So let's read around it. If we go on like this, we will reach a point of no return. Oh, point of no return, which means the damage is irreversible. I remember something. Okay, undo, right? So undo, that's this name. So I'm going to write A next to, so it says the risk is we will not be able to undo the damage that occurs in space. And here it says, if we go on like this, we will reach a point of no return. A point of no return means we will not be able to undo this damage. Great. So we're done with this name. Okay. Well, it says you may use any letter more than once. Of course, one name can be used twice or 3 times. But look, this person hasn't said anything else, so it's very unlikely that Caroline will be will be repeated. I mean, this A will be repeated as an answer. So, what about this next person? Again, we have a name. We have this triangle name, and Craig. A bit between Craig and the triangle, I mean Marlin. I would choose Marlin because Marlin has said only has one statement or so. If you knew precisely where everything was, you would almost never have a problem. I remember something about the place. Oh yeah, exact location, right? So that's Marlin. Exact location. Then there is next. Okay. Do you think we need more? Do we need to read more about this name? No, that's because we only have one quotation and we have more names to work on. Then next would be, I wouldn't work on more Moriba because that person has said a lot. Let's do, we did okay, Holger Cragg. Yeah, this person has said a few things. Let's see. Worries that problems could increase despite their best intention. Okay. What happens to those that fail or go bankrupt? They are probably not going to spend money to remove their satellites from space. What? Space should be available. No, conflict investment word. Oh. This is about where the information is in space. Exact location. Let me see. But Marlin. If we knew precisely where everything was, we would almost never have a problem. Knowing the exact location would prevent. Yeah, that's right. That's right. C is right. So, okay. I don't know. Let's go back and read more. But so far, um, the intergovernmental groups also advise lowering satellites deep enough into the atmosphere that they will burn up or disintegrate within 25 years. But so far, only half of all missions have abided by this 25-year-old goal. Okay. Are okay. Say they will be responsible stewards in their enterprises in space, but Craig worries that problems could increase despite their best intentions. What happens to those that fail or go bankrupt? He said they're probably not going to spend money to remove their satellites from space. Hmm. Maybe 38. Hmm. They're not going to, yeah, they're not, ignoring means they're not going to do that. They're not going to follow the recommendation. Yeah, that's probably the answer. So we don't have a better answer. So let's choose this. I'm not very happy with my choice, but that's the only choice I can see so far. So for now, because they're probably not going to do this, it means that this recommendation would be ignored. And what next? A, B. Okay, now we have D. Now two options, two statements left, and Moriba. We have Moriba to read about. Moriba from here to here. Yeah, I mean the chances are that we will use this name more than once because I mean this person has talked a lot. So what do we have? Space should be available to everyone. That should be preserved. Okay, and there is conflicting information about okay where. So the field because it's similar to management. Think about a busy day at an airport, says Mariba. An astrodynamicist at the University of Texas. Planes line up in the sky, landing and taking off close to one another, and it hopefully are trying to know the location of the planes down to okay. The same can't be said for space debris. Not all objects in an orbit are known, and even those included in databases are not tracked consistently. Yeah, maybe. So we don't know where things are. So there's not information about where things are in the space. So we have some lack of information there. So let's choose D for now. Again, you don't have to be 100% sure. It looks like there's conflicting information about where some satellites are in space. An additional problem is that there is no authoritative. Okay, again, it's repeated here. Database that has developed. It draws on the several sources. There's catalogs maintained by the U.S. And Russian governments to visualize where objects are. When he types in an identifier for a particular space object, the database draws a purple line to designate its orbit. Only this doesn't quite work for a number of objects, such as blah blah blah. Okay, when that enters the number, the database draws into. Okay, that's a lot of details. So just okay, we need this one. Describes himself as a space. I wanted to make space a place that is safe to operate, that is free and useful for generations to come. Useful for generations to come. It rings a bell. Space should be available to everyone and should be preserved for the future. Yes, generations to come, future. There we go. There we have the answer. Great. So that's D. We have all the answers here. Let's move on to another question type. I would do this before that. This is always my last priority. This question requires a lot of reading and should be left for later. Summary completion. Now, if summary completion tasks, if the summary has a title, it may help us to go to the right place in the text, because maybe these gaps are not from the whole text but from a couple of paragraphs. So let's see if this title is specific or not. The Interagency Space Debris Coordination Committee. This has to be somewhere in the text. All caps. See, IASDCC. Where is it? Let's scan for it. Okay, there we have it. Oh, such as IS. Okay, great. So we have what we were looking for here. So the answers probably are from this paragraph up to maybe to the end. I don't know. So let's go to the next step. The next step after finding the heading, the title in the text, is to skim this summary real quick. They're going to give advice on how the blah blah space can be achieved. Okay, advice. The committee advises that when satellites are no longer active, blah 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 blah, should be removed. And although operators of large accept that they have obligations to work. Okay, I remember this. I remember this name as well. Okay, good. Yeah. So this name, Holger. All right, interesting. So it seems like the summary is from one paragraph only. That's amazing. The committee gives advice on how the blah blah of a space can be achieved. So, I've developed guidelines on space sustainability. Something of space sustainability. Yeah, they want to develop guidelines on space sustainability, which means sustainability of space. Yes, let's write it down. Sustain. How do you spell that? Yeah. Okay, we have to be careful with the spellings. Sustainability of space can be achieved. The committee advises that any unused blah blah or pressurized material. So let's find pressurized material. Okay, pressurized materials, or we have or. So leftover fuel. Well, leftover fuel. Yes. So should I write leftover fuel or not? Let me just write it first for you guys. Leftover fuel. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's in the text and that's the correct answer, but no. Choose one word only. So we have only one word to write. Then between leftover and fuel, which one should we keep and which one should we get rid of? Obviously, the key word here is fuel, unused fuel. because leftover means unused. Cause blah blah. Oh, what that could cause blah. Okay, so it could cause what? Might lead to, obviously, explosions. So cause and lead to, synonyms. Explosions. And we need this name. We can jump to this name. Point that the operators that become blah blah are unlikely to prioritize. Okay, I remember that. Become. Go means become. So what happens to those companies that fail or go bankrupt? Operators that become bankrupt are unlikely. Yeah, the word is bankrupt. Amazing. There we go. Now we're left with these remaining questions. Now, so far, most of the questions were from the second page, the second half of the text. So it is very likely that these items will be from the first page. I'm just guessing, but that's very likely. We'll find out. So, first step. Summarize these statements that are given to us, a reference to cooperation that takes place to try and minimize risk. Cooperation, minimize risk. Of a person's aim. Description of a major collision in space. Comparison between tracking objects in space and efficiency of transportation system. I remember this somewhere. A reference to efforts to classify space junk. Efforts to classify space junk. Now, if we already remember something about these, like there was this woman comparing tracking objects in space and traffic on the ground on Earth. Who was that? I think that was this last person. No, sorry, it was not there. It was, yeah, air traffic controller. What? Tracking objects in space and efficiency of transportation system. Air traffic controllers. Planes up in the sky, landing and taking off closer to another. Know the location of this same can't be said for space debris. Yes, that's the comparison. That is the comparison. I remember that. So 30 would probably be E. So let's write E for 30. And that's it. Do I remember anything else? Major collision that occurred in space. I don't remember that. Efforts to classify. I don't remember. So now it's important to read a paragraph and decide if anything from these items is in there. Don't try to find a person's name. Don't try to look for minimize risk. Don't try to look for a collision. You don't want to read all those paragraphs for one answer. Instead, we read one paragraph completely and decide if any of the information here is found there. So we do it in that direction, from the paragraphs to the statements. Now, which paragraph should we start with? It doesn't really matter. E is gone. Do you think E can be used again? No. Otherwise, you would have this phrase, you may use any letter more than once, but we don't have it. Therefore, E is only used once. So we're not going to need E anymore. Of course, we're not sure yet about this answer, but still, it's very unlikely that this. I mean, it's not really worth reading this paragraph. So let's go to the first paragraph and read it completely fast, and only trying to see if any of these items can be found there. Last year, commercial send more than blah blah blah, over 4 times a year. Numbers could rise even if leading space companies. Okay, all that traffic can lead to disaster. Oh, 10 years ago, a U.S. commercial blah blah satellite smashed into. Oh, interesting. We have a major collision that occurred in space. There we go. So that's A. That's A for sure. So we found the collision. Are we going to need it anymore? No. It's not worth reading the whole paragraph completely because we already have something. And I'm pretty sure about this. Concern about space junk goes back to the beginning of okay, what do we need now? Let's refresh our memory. Reference to cooperation that takes place. Cooperation, person's aims, and efforts to classify space junk. Okay. Concerned about space junk. Oh, space junk. Space junk. Go back to the beginning of but the number of is rising so rapidly. Researchers are investigating new ways of attacking the problem. Several teams are trying to improve methods for assessing what is in orbit so that satellites can work more efficiently. Okay, some researchers are now starting to compile a massive data set that includes the best possible information on where everything is in this. So yeah, this seems to be the answer. 31. Efforts to classify space junk. And okay, we don't need that anymore. C. Have you chosen C yet? No. Even as okay, now what do we need? We only have 2 items left. A reference to the cooperation that takes place, okay, and then person's aims. Cooperation and a person's aims. Even as our increases, so the total number of them. That means companies, governments, and other players in space are collaborating in new ways to avoid a short threat. Okay, I'm excited to see this here because cooperation and collaboration mean the same thing. Let's write C for 27 and 28. Person's aim. Z. Given this, we need a person and their aims. This would be okay. How many paragraphs are left? D and F. Let's look at F. Make space free. Yeah, this person says, I want to make space a place that is safe. This is an aim. A person's aim, and this person is Mariba. Can we say, yeah, we have this person who has hopes for the future. Aims, the person's aims. So it's either F or D. Do we have aims here? I don't think so. Right, so yeah, we have something in F. Let's write F for now. So have you answered all the questions? Let's just check to make sure. Yes, 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 yes. There we go. Excellent. So this was passage 3 of test 1, Cambridge 18. It wasn't that bad, was it? I mean, it didn't challenge me too much. I believe it was probably the easiest passage out of the 3. I mean, there are 2 other videos for passage 1 and passage 2. If you haven't watched them, go ahead and watch them because they were a bit more challenging than this paragraph. And well, there's a common myth about IELTS reading. Many IELTS candidates think that the 3rd passage has to be the most challenging one, but that's not the case. It's not always the case. Sometimes the 3rd passage is a very easy one. So don't make that assumption. You can't tell which passage is easier than the other ones, and it doesn't really matter. So don't worry about the level of difficulty of the passages. You need to answer all the questions anyway. And to me, this passage was pretty easy. Right. So, okay. And one more thing before I end the video is the reading part of IELTS does not give you any more time, any additional time for transferring your answers from the question paper to the answer sheets, or on the computer. I mean, IELTS and computer, you won't have any extra time to check things. So everything should be done within the 1 hour time frame. So don't write twice. I'm writing on the questions here for you, but this is not the right thing to do. You need to write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. And if you like this video, and if you want to support us, please make sure to smash that like button. And if you have any questions about anything IELTS related, feel free to ask in the comment section below. Happy learning, and I'll see you in the next one.